Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Srīmad Bhāgavatam Jam Vishwabhat Paramhamsa Parivrajacharya Stotar Srīmad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrind Ki Granth Raj Srīmad Bhāgavatam Ki Nitai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande. Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to harekrishnatemple, Srīmad Bhāgavatam morning class. So today we are reading from Srīmad Bhāgavatam, 2nd Canto, 6th chapter, text number 36. It's a wonderful verse. Please repeat after me. Narayanam namaskritya Naram chaiva नतोऽस्म्यहं तच्चरणं समीयुषाम् नतोऽस्म्यहं तच्चरणं समीयुषाम् भवच्चितं स्वस्त्ययनं सुमङ्गलम् भवच्चितं स्वस्त्ययनं सुमङ्गलम् यो यात्ममाया विभवं स्वं पर्यगात् यो यात्ममाया विभवं स्म पर्यगात् यथा नभस्वान्तमथा परे कुतः यथा नभस्वान्तमथा परे कुतः नतोऽस्म्यहं तच्चरणं समीयुषाम् भवच्चिदं स्वास्थ्ययनं सुमङ्गलम् यो यात्ममाया विभवं स्म पर्यगात् यथा नभस्वान्तमथा परे कुतः
नतोऽस्म्यहं तच्चरणं समीयुषाम् भवच्चिदं स्वास्थ्ययनं सुमङ्गलम् यो यात्ममाया विभवं स्वपर्यगात् यथा नभस्वान्तमथा परे कुतः
Swasti Ayanam Sumangalam. Yoyatmamaya Vibhavam Swaparyaga. Yatha Navaswam Napapapare Kutaha. Bhagavatam Swasyayanam Sumangalam. Yayatmamaya Vibhavam Swaparyaga. Very nice. Bosara. What is Nataha? Let me offer my obeisances. Asmi. Am. Aham. I. Tat. The Lord's. Charanam. Feet. Samiyusham. Of the surrendered soul. Bhavachidam. That which stops repetition of birth and death. Swasti Ayanam. Perception of all happiness. Sumangalam. All auspicious. Yaha. One who. He. Certainly. Exactly. Atmamaya. Personal energies. Vibhavam. Potency. Sma. Certainly. Paryagat. Cannot. Estimate. Yatha. As much as. Navaha. The sky. Swaantam. Its own limit. Atha. Therefore. Apare. Others. Kutaha. How. Translation by the loving divine grace, Aishi Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki. Please repeat. Therefore it is best for me to surrender onto His feet, which alone can deliver one from the miseries of repeated birth and death. Such surrender is all auspicious and allows one to perceive all happiness. Even the sky cannot estimate the limits of its own expansion. So what can others do when the Lord Himself is unable to estimate His own limits? Purport by Srila Prabhupada, please hear. Lord Brahma, the greatest of all living beings, the greatest sacrificer, the greatest observer of the austere life, and the greatest self-realized mystic, advises us as the supreme spiritual master of all living beings that one should simply surrender onto the lotus feet of the Lord in order to achieve all success, even up to the limit of being liberated from the miseries of material life and being endowed with all auspicious spiritual existence. Lord Brahma is known as Pitamaha, or Father's Father. A young man consults his experienced father about discharging his duties. For the father is naturally a good advisor. But Lord Brahma is the father of all fathers. He is father of the father of Manu, who is the father of all mankind all over the universal planets. Therefore, the men of this insignificant planet should kindly accept the instruction of Brahmaji and would do well to surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord rather than try to estimate the length and breadth of Lord's potencies. His potencies are immeasurable, as confirmed in Vedas. Parasa Shakti Vividhaiva Suryate Sudhaviti Gnana Balakriyascha. Svetas Vastara Upanishad 6.8. He is the greatest of all, and all others, even the greatest of all living beings, namely Brahmaji, admits that the best thing is for us to surrender unto him. Therefore, only those persons with a very poor fund of knowledge claim that they themselves are lords of all that they survey. And what can they survey? They cannot survey even the length and breadth of a small sky in one small universe. The so-called materialist scientist says that he would need to live for 40,000 years to reach the highest planet of the universe, being carried by the Sputnik.
It's Russian space vehicle.
Russian space vehicle. This is also utopian because no one can expect to live for 40,000 years. Besides, when the space pilot returned from the travel, none of his friends would be present to receive him back as the greatest astronaut, as he has become fashionable for modern bewildered scientific men. One scientific man who had no belief in God was very much enthusiastic in making plans for his material existence and therefore opened a hospital to save the living. But after opening the hospital, he himself died within 6 months. So one should not spoil his human life, which is obtained after many changes of the bodies of 8,400,000 species of life, simply for the concocted material happiness of life through increasing artificial needs in the name of advancement of economic development and scientific knowledge. Rather, one should simply surrender unto the feet of the Lord to make a solution to miseries of life. That is the instruction of Lord Krishna directly in the Bhagavad Gita, and that is the instruction of Srīmad Bhāgavatam by Brahmaji, the Supreme Father of all living beings. Anyone denying this surrendering process, as recommended both in Bhagavad Gita and Srīmad Bhāgavatam, and for that matter, in all authorized scriptures, will be forced to surrender under the laws of material nature. The living entity, by his constitutional position, is not independent. He must surrender either to the Lord or to the material nature. Material nature is also not independent of the Lord, since the Lord himself has claimed material nature as Mama Maya, or my energy, 7:14, and as Me Bhinna Prakriti Rashtadha, or my separated energy in 8 divisions. Therefore, material nature is also controlled by the Lord, as he has claimed in Bhagavad Gita 9:10, Maya Dhakshena Prakritihi Suyate Sacharacharam. Under my direction only is material nature working, and thus all things moving, and thus are all things moving. And the living entities, being superior energy to matter, have choice and discrimination either to surrender unto the Lord or to surrender unto the material nature. By surrendering unto the Lord, one is happy and liberated. But by surrendering unto the material nature, the living entity suffers. So, the end of all suffering means surrendering unto the Lord, because the surrendering process itself is bhavachidam, liberation from material miseries, swasti ayanam, perception of all happiness, and sumangalam, the source of everything auspicious. Therefore, liberty, happiness, and all good fortune can be attained only by surrendering unto the Lord, because He is full liberty, full happiness, and full auspiciousness. Such liberation and happenings are also unlimited, and they have been compared to the sky, although such liberation and happiness are infinitely greater than the sky. In our present position, we can simply understand the magnitude of greatness when it is compared to sky. We fail to measure the sky, but the happiness and the liberty obtained in association with the Lord are far greater than the sky. And that spiritual happiness is so great that it cannot be measured even by the Lord Himself, not to speak of others. Very, very wonderful paper. Please meditate, read over and over again. It is said in the scriptures, Brahma Saukhyam Tvanantam. Spiritual happiness is unlimited. Here it is said that even the Lord cannot measure such happiness. This does not mean that the Lord cannot measure it and is therefore imperfect in that sense. The actual position is that the Lord can measure it, but the happiness in the Lord is so identical with the Lord on the account of absolute knowledge. So the happiness derived from the Lord may be measured by the Lord, but the happiness increases again, and the Lord measures it again, and then again the happiness increases more and more. And the Lord measures it more and more, and as such there is eternally a competition between increment and measurement. So much so that the competition is never stopped, but goes on unlimitedly ad infinitum. Spiritual happiness is anandam bodhivarthanam, or the ocean of happiness which increases. The material ocean is stagnant, but the spiritual ocean is dynamic. In Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, 4th chapter, Viraj Krsna has very nicely described this dynamic increment of the ocean of spiritual happiness in the transcendental person of Srimati Radharani, the pleasure potency of Lord Krishna. Jai Bhaktivedanta Prabhu's ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Om Jnana Mirandasya Jnana Shalakaya, Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Nitinamine, Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine, Vamanchakalpatarobhyascha Kripasindhuryayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Bhute Mahathir Yayima Puro Vibhu, Nirmaya Shete Yadamusha Purusha, Bhute Gunan Shodasha Shatmata, Solang Krasishta Bhagavan Vachamsi Me. Shri Krishna Sharanam Sharanagatam Katha Amritam Sadatapivatam Bhakti Vedanta Marga Panthanam Sarvaloka Rishideva Janna Prasannam Sarvaloka Rishideva Janna Prasannam. So we are at a very important juncture of this chapter, Puruṣa-sūkta confirmed. So we can see that from the preceding verses, Lord Brahma is very, very ecstatic. In the first 34 or so verses, Brahmaji is giving detailed description of the Supreme Lord as Puruṣa-sūkta, one who is the creator, the maintainer, and the ameliorator of the material worlds. And these details are quite technical, and one can actually nod off while reading this, trying to understand this, or be baffled by it. But these descriptions nonetheless are very, very important, because it is Bhagavatam. And Bhagavatam, it is said, instructs like a master, like a poet, and like a lover. So it is said the Upanishads, they instruct like master, and the Puranas, they instruct like friend, and the poetic scriptures, they instruct like a lover. But Srīmad Bhāgavatam instructs like all three: master, friend, and a lover. So the detailed descriptions knowing is important, because after that we can really appreciate the Lord, as we can see here Brahmaji is doing. So Brahmaji, from text 34 onwards, we can see that he has become very ecstatic. And Brahmaji is saying, Nabhariti mengamrishopalakshyate, that, O Narada, never have my words proven to be wrong. Name kvachin me manaso mrishagatihi, never has the condition of my mind deteriorated. Brahmaji is very, very old, but the condition of our mind starts deteriorating from 40 onwards. So how deteriorated Brahmaji's mind should be, because currently Brahmaji's age is roughly 150 trillion years of age. And then Brahmaji goes on to say, Name rishikani patanti satpate, that never have my senses indulge in lower engagement. So never have anything I've said proven to be false, never has the condition of my mind deteriorated. It's the formula for being young, always. And never have my senses fallen into engagement of undignified sensual affairs. Why? He gives a clue. Because yanme hrido kantavata dhrito harihi, because in my heart I have got hold of the lotus feet of Lord Hari with great zeal. Dhrita harihi. So we are like Dhritarashtra. We hang on to the material things like Dhritarashtra did. But we really should be Dhrita Hari, holding on to the lotus feet of Lord Hari. And when we hold on to the lotus feet of Lord Hari with great zeal, sometimes we put our finger into the hands of a very young baby, and the baby grips it. And then we try to release it, but the grip is very hard, very difficult. The strength of the baby just shows that even though the baby is little, it is holding on very tightly. So similarly, we are like those babies, but we are crawling up to the lotus feet of Krishna and trying to hold on to his lotus feet with great zeal, not letting it go, like the baby is not letting go of the finger of the mother or the father. And when we do that, then always our words will be true, our mind will be sharp and fresh, and our senses will not indulge in undignified lower things, but always in service of Krishna, hands in cleaning of the temple, eyes in looking at the beautiful form of the Lord, nose in smelling the flowers and the tulsi leaves offered to the Lord, tongue in tasting the prasadam, ears in hearing Krishna Katha, and the sense of touch in embracing our friends, our devotees, our legs in walking to the temple or the places of pilgrimage, our heads in bowing down before the Lord. This is elevation of the senses. Then Brahmaji goes on to say that although I am known as great Brahma, perfect in all the cyclic succession of Vedic wisdom, and although I have undergone all austerities, for millions and millions of years Brahmaji has gone austerities, and am an expert in mystic powers and self-realization, and although I am recognized as such by great forefathers of the living entities who offer me respectful obeisances, still I cannot understand Him, the Lord, the very source of my birth. So even if when Brahmaji is saying it, that I cannot understand the Lord, then how can we even fathom how Lord is, who is, and how He creates? Therefore Bhāgavatam at the end says, Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Maruta Stunvanti Divyaistavai Veda Sam Vedanga Sam Kramopanishadai Gayanti Yam Samaga Dhyanavastita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyantam Naviduh Surasuraganam Devaya Tasmai Namaha. So Sud Goswami mentions this, that these great personalities, Yam Brahma, so Brahma himself is confirming this, and then who? Varuna Rudra, Varuna Deva, Lord Shiva, Rudra, Yam Brahma, Varunindra, Rudra Maruta, Lord Indra, and the Marutas. Stunvanti Divyaistavai. It's Stunvanti Divyaistavai. They sing so nicely. So all these verses, we have to sing it. This cannot be rushed. Silently, loudly, we have to sing this. And this is where actually the hidden messages of the Supreme Lord's loving ecstasies are. When Srila Prabhupada is having a conversation with George Harrison, then he quotes this verse as well. And he says, because he's impressing upon George Harrison, oh, it's so nice you are a singer, because full of our scriptures are all of singing. And he quotes this, Yam Brahma Varunindra Rudra Maruta Stunvanti Divyaistavai Vedang Sam Kramopanishadai Gayanti Yam Samada. Gayanti, Prabhupada emphasizes, they are singing the glories of the Lord. And then Prabhupada sings Veda verses from Prahlad Maharaj prayers, and he explains to George Harrison that yes, all this singing should be there. As Sakira Prabhu yesterday said, in spiritual world, every word is a song and every step is a dance. And someone said, never trust a person who can never dance. Yesterday, Brajadipika Mataji contacted me and she mentioned that, we're doing Prahlad Maharaj's prayers, 9th chapter from 7th Canto for children's classes. I think from 13 age. What age? 8 to 13?
8 to...
Yeah. So quite young, 8 to 13. And I was so pleased to hear this, because in Sydney, about 15 years ago, we did that. And these are not easy prayers. They are typical prayers. Actually, it's difficult only by our estimation or perception. But if we put our minds and hearts to it, it is easy. And 8-year-olds, even younger, were able to memorize whole set of verses. There are 42 verses, and they're long verses. So Mataji said, it will be too long, so can you select some verses? So I said, okay. But then when I started selecting verses, I was selecting all of them, because they're all very important. And Srila Prabhupada quoted most from these verses. And I said to Mataji, include all of them. Even if it takes the whole year or even 2 years for children to learn. Because if they learn these verses, then these verses will always remain with them. And these are the realizations of the greatest devotee of the Lord, Prahlad Maharaj. And so Mataji said, yeah, okay. But it's difficult. They are long prayers. So can you record it, Prabhu? So yeah, okay, we'll try to endeavor. So we did half the recording. Half the recording will be done later. But this is what Prahlad Maharaj is saying. Shri Prahlad Brahma Daya Suragana Munayota Siddha Satvai Katan Vachasam Pravahai Naradhanatum Purugunair Vibhunati Pitru Kim Toshtumarhati Same Hanerugrachate. Very good, Neil Madam. You have memorized it already.
We learned it in E-Gurukul before this.
Very nice. But still, this verse is now with you. Prahlad Maharaj says that our singing should be Vachasa Pravahe, flowing, effortlessly like verses. So demigods are doing it. Brahma, Daya, Suragana, Munayota, Siddha. Siddhas, the perfected beings, they are singing the glories of the Lord. Satvaikatan, in mode of goodness. Satvaikatan nagatayo vachasam pravahahe. So when these children recite in Nashim Chaturdasi these verses, pravahahe, you see how nicely these verses flow. But the thing is that because these verses are non-different from Krishna, these verses will speak to us, provided we are under the guidance of a spiritual master, a Vaishnava, and we are humble. These prayers will give us realization. And that is what Brahmaji is experiencing here. He is realizing the spiritual depth and the wisdom. And he goes on to say that in this particular verse of surrendering to the Lord. And this is what we have to do. Please repeat. Natosmyaham Tatcharanam Samiyusham. Nata means let me offer my obeisances. Natosmyaham, I, Asmi, am offering my obeisances. Where? Tatcharanam Samiyusham. Natosmyaham Tatcharanam Samiyusham. Bhavachidam Swastyayanam Sumangalam. Bhavachidam Swastyayanam Sumangalam. So it's very simple to do. Simply bow down before the Lord onto His lotus feet and surrender. And what is the result? 3 results are mentioned here. Bhavachidam Swastyayanam Sumangalam. So Bhavachidam, it stops the repetition of birth and death. It ends the miserable cycle of birth, death, old age and disease. Bhavachidam. Very nicely, even Jayadeva Goswami says Amala Kamala Dala Lochana hai, Bhavamochana hai. Krishna's eyes are described as Amala, without any mala. Kamala, like lotus petal. Dala, Dala means the petal. Amala Kamala Dala Lochana hai. And whoever Krishna puts his Kripa Drishti, merciful glance, then Bhavamochana hai, he liberates them out of the cycle of birth and death. Please repeat. Amala Kamala Dalalochana hai, Amala Kamala Dalalochana hai, Bhavamochana hai, Bhavamochana hai, Tribhuvana Bhuvana Nidhana, Tribhuvana Bhuvana Nidhana. Of all the three worlds, he is the creator and maintainer. Tribhuvana Bhuvana Nidhana. Jaya Jaya Deva Hare. Jaya Jaya Deva Hare. So this is Bhavachitam. He plunders the cycle of birth and death. And he does it very expertly. The first verse of Mukundamana Stotra says, Sri Vallabheti Varadeti Daya Pareti Bhaktya Priyeti Bhavalundhana Kovideti. Bhavalundhana Kovideti. Kovida means expert. We may bang our heads to perfect our lives and end the cycle of birth, death, old age and disease. But Krishna is the expert in plundering that. Bhaktya, why? Because Bhaktya Priyeti, the devotees are very dear to the Lord. And because the devotees are very dear to the Lord, how does the Lord reciprocate? Bhavalundhana Kovideti. He plunders the bhava. Bhava means the cycle of birth and death. Lunthana. Lunthana means plunders. Kovida means expert. He is expert in plundering the cycle of birth and death for the devotees. So this is Bhavachedam. But he doesn't only provide freedom. He only doesn't give liberation. He also gives happiness. Swasti ayanam. Now there is swasti vacha. May you be happy. The blessings. I remember when our Ram Vijay Prabhu was there, then one devotee grabbed one young boy and brought him. And he said, Prabhu, please find a bride for him. He's not getting married. Then Ram Vijay Prabhu took a step back, looked at the boy, looked at him. We were sitting there eating. There was 5 seconds of silence which seemed like eternity. And everyone is thinking, now what will Ram Vijay Prabhu say and do? So Ram Vijay Prabhu simply extended his hand and said, Khush raho. We won't go into the purport of that blessing. But everyone wants to be happy. Swasti ayanam. Prahlad Maharaj also says this word swasti he uses in his prayers to Lord Narasimhadev. How does it start? You remember? From 5th canto of Srīmad Bhāgavatam. Swastyastu vishvasya kala prasidhatam bhayantu bhutani shivam mitoliya manascha vajram vajataja dhokshaje. Manascha padram vajataja dhokshaje. The last line. It's like absorption, something about absorption. Yes, okay. We'll go back and have a look at it. This is the advantage in reciting in association of devotees. Swasti, this happiness can only come from devotional service. Prabhupada says that. Swasti astu ayanam. That may there be good fortune throughout the universe. May everyone be happy. May mind be fresh and enlivened. But how? That bhajatat adhokshate. By worshipping Krishna, all this is possible. Avishyata, something. Avishyata, bhajata, avishyata, bhakti ahituki. Without any motive. When devotion is there, then actual happiness is experienced. If we really want to experience happiness, then if without any motive we do devotional service, then we can feel the happiness that Krishna reciprocates. Ahetuki apratihata. If motive is there, then that motive will overtake. Then we exclude ourselves from being happy. Because we are limiting ourselves onto only to our perception of happiness, which is actually not happiness at all. It is like hog-like happiness, only limited to eating of stool. What happiness is there? It's undignified and perverted. Once Prabhupada explains this story, an old woman was carrying wooden firewood on her head, and she tripped and fell, and she shouted, "Oh Kanha!" And Krishna came. And Krishna said, "Yes, mother, what can I do for you?" So she said that, "Can you pick up that wood that has fallen and put it back on my head?" Now Krishna is there present himself, and she can ask anything, but she asks what? Please put the thing on the head. So this is us. We don't know what is worth asking for. Therefore we exclude ourselves from experiencing higher happiness. But Krishna can give highest happiness. Shri Vallabheti Varadeti Varada. Varada means he can give the best benediction. And the best benediction is of bhakti. Bhakti gives Swasti Ayanam, unlimited happiness. Prabhupada here explains, so beautiful paper Prabhupada here is. At the end Prabhupada explains that devotional happiness has no limit. Just imagine if something in this world makes you happy. Neil Madhav, what makes you happy in this world?
Soccer.
Soccer. Now, how long you can play soccer for?
Like in a day, you mean?
In a day.
I don't really know, but I could play. I think I'll play for max 4 hours.
4 hours you can play, but after that you can't play. Yes. So your happiness is only limited to those 4 hours. But then the quality of that happiness, we don't know. Sometimes you may get injury. I think few times I saw your hand, bandage, pain. So imagine what the happiness, But in material world, there is limit to that happiness. One cannot extract any more happiness. If one tries to, they will become depressed. This is called the diminishing marginal utility. Many times we have explained, this concept of eating gulab jamun. 1 you can have, 2 you can have, but the pleasure of the second one is less than the first one. 3, the pleasure of the first and the second one is less, so third one is less than the second one, and so on. And then reach a point where you will, if you eat one more gulab jamun, you will become sick. You know, with last year, Balram Jayanti, we had gulab jamun eating competition, and we saw some people were like completely sick after that. All credit to, you know, our young Sanatan Prabhu and what's his name? Montu Prabhu, who agreed on equal, like stop the competition here, equal highest. There is a limit. If anything more, you become sick, diseased, and depressed. But Prabhupada very nicely here says, the spiritual happiness is unlimited. The words he uses is Brahmam Svasaukyam Anantam. This Brahmya means spiritual, Saukyam means happiness, Anantam. Anantam means unlimited. Brahmam Saukyam Anantam. And the same thing Mahaprabhu says, Anandam Bodhivardhanam Pratipadam. Ananda. Ananda means happiness, bliss. Ambudhi. Ambudhi means ocean. So, ocean of bliss. So, in the material world, we can see that the ocean has limit. Ocean is not unlimited, although it is vast and big. But the spiritual happiness and bliss, the ocean of spiritual happiness and bliss is not limited. It is vast and it is ever increasing. And that's called in Sanskrit Vardhanam. Vardhanam means it's increasing. It's increasing, and Prabhupada says very nicely how beautiful Prabhupada's English is, to the power of infinitum. Infinitely it's increasing. So just imagine, using even logic, that happiness is unlimitedly increasing. So when we simply chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and somehow or the other, if with association of devotees, and for me I can say personally, having association of a devotee who is experiencing this themselves and seeing how happy they are is the greatest experience, which convinces, yes, to say no to sense gratification and try to follow these devotees' footpath. We are very fortunate to have, Bhagavad Bhagavati Mataji's association, and just 3 days of Sangha made such a difference in most people's lives here. I want to speak of, devotees who had very close association. So this is, yes, because they are fiercely unmotivated, they don't have personal motive, they simply just want to serve and please. And swasti ahinam, therefore, vardhanam, the pleasure is ever increasing. There is no limit to it. So then Prabhupada so nicely says that, does it mean that there is a fault in Lord? Why? Because if the pleasure, the Lord himself cannot measure the pleasure he is experiencing. The Lord is all blissful, but he cannot measure the pleasure he is experiencing. So how can he be Lord? Because Lord by definition means he can do anything and everything. There is nothing, natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate. There is no karya which he cannot do. Therefore there is no karya suitable for him. But this karya of measuring his own bliss, he cannot do. He can do, Prabhupada then says, but when he goes to measure it, the bliss increases. How? Why? Because the devotee is serving. When the devotee serves the Lord, what happens? The Lord's pleasure increases. And then when the Lord saves the devotee, what happens? The devotee's pleasure increases. And by the time the Lord takes the measuring tape to measure it, the devotee saves. And by the time the Lord's pleasure has increased already. So in this way, there is transcendental, eternal competition between the Lord and the devotee. The Lord says, I want to save my devotees. Without my devotees, I don't even wish to enjoy my transcendental opulence. Naham atmanama sa srimadbhagavatam sadhubirvina shriyam chatyantikam brahman yesham aham gatim para. The devotee only regards Krishna as his gatir, destination, and knowing that the devotee does everything for Krishna only. And so, when the pleasure is exchanged between the beloved and the lover, the devotee and the Lord, then it is ever increasing. There is no limit to it. And in such a flood, overflowing of the oceanic bliss, both the Lord and the devotee are like duckling swan enjoying the waters of the spiritual bliss unlimitedly without any inhibition. There is no stoppage to the experience of happiness. And therefore this process is sumangalam, auspicious. Bhavat-chetam swasti-ayanam sumangalam. And the analogy given by Brahmaji is like who can measure the limit of the material sky? Even though material sky has a limit, but who can measure it? But the bliss and the pleasure experienced in the devotional process has no limit. So the good news is that our pleasure can always be increasing, unlike the material world. I mean, I think back to my younger days. I was 14 when I came here, and basically at the age of 17, had free will. I could do whatever I wanted, and I've had association of friends because I used to live in hostel. And they used to all go to, nightclubs, bars, and somehow or the other, I used also to go with them. But I never, Krishna never allowed me to indulge. But then how long they were doing that for? They couldn't continue those. How long you'll go to nightclubs in your lifetime? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Then you get married or whatever. Then all things, this stops at some time. All craze stops. But I have seen for devotees, it doesn't stop. When they come to the temple, from the young age to the old age, when the kirtan goes on, even the old at heart becomes young and they dance and in association. Why? Because this is the reason. Swasti ayanam, brahma saukyam tvanantam, anandam buddhivardhanam. At every step, pratipadam, the bliss is increasing. Anandam buddhivardhanam, pratipadam. At every step, the bliss is increasing. So if we become very much aware of this fact that, yes, let me become selfless in my devotion to Krishna, because if I'm not becoming selfless, then I'm limiting myself to experience unlimited happiness. It's like unlimited sun rays are coming, I'm just closing the doors and the windows of my house and the curtains, and I'm choosing to be in the dark room. So similarly, we have to open up and say yes to devotional service. When we put limit on it, or condition on it, or motive on it, that motive is like putting a lid on the inflow of bliss. But when we remove the motive of lid, then we are opening ourselves to receive the unlimited happiness and mercy of devotional service. Only by our puny intelligence, like that old woman who asked for the firewood to be put back on the head, we ask for petty things. But as Dhruva Maharaj experiences, Kachan Vichinvan Apidivya Ratnam, that the Lord is like a Divya Ratnam, transcendental gem, and they regret I was after a piece of broken glasses. So when Dhruva Maharaj experienced the Lord himself, then he realized what I was asking for is nothing. So we also, if we want to experience the spiritual bliss unlimitedly, then we have to let go of all inhibitions. Any questions or comments?
Prabhu, you were mentioning about motive quite a lot today, that we should do service without any motive. But there can be a spiritual motive, or is it called something else? When you want to give pleasure to the Lord, or when you want to make Srila Prabhupada happy, even that is a motive, isn't it? Or is it called something else?
It is a spiritual motive, of course, is there. But as I mentioned in my class, the best way is when we are in association of devotees, then just by seeing them, how they are doing things, how they are doing devotional service, and how happy they are, then we, it rubs off. Yes, I should be doing it like that. One example, is when Bhagavati Mataji came to our home, and as I gave her, you do the offering today. And as she took the plate, she, was entering the temple. She very loudly, she said, Jai Radha Neel Madhav, Jai Radha Shyam Sundar, Utavana Mate, Premti Bhog Lairucho, brought offering for you very lovingly. And she explained, this is cooked, please accept it with love and devotion, please forgive me. And she's talking, literally talking to the deities. And I could just see how happy she is doing that. And she's doing it for their pleasure. Yes, if we just simply, have that intention, yes, my intention is to just please the Lord. As Amrish Maharaj's those 12 description is there, and when it comes to desires, it is said, Kamas tu kama natu kama kamaye, that his desire was to fulfill the desire of the Lord, not his own desire. So simply, if we just say like that, the motive will purify. Even if the motive is somehow the other, we have some personal motive, but that personal motive will be purified. That's why Krishna, just approaching Krishna is so auspicious, as Mukumala Stotra he says, Sri Valladeti Varadeti, because he is Varada, the giver of best kinds of benedictions. And why? Because he is Dayapareti, he is very merciful. And Bhakta Priyeti, devotees are very dear to him. And therefore, Bhavalantana Ko Vidayati. So he will ponder the cycle of birth and death. So our adulterated motive, even if we have it in our heart, he will purify. But if we just copy the devotees, when we say copy, just follow their footsteps, not copying, not imitation, just follow the footsteps of the devotees, then all auspiciousness will come about. And it's a long journey as well. So the time itself, you will see how the progress is there, and will be surprised. It can happen very quickly. Ashu means very quickly. Kunti Maharani very nicely says, Shinvanti Gayanti Sparanti Vechnasa Sparanti Nandanti Tadeitam Janaha. So there very nicely it says that Nandanti, that the devotee feels pleasure in seeing others doing devotional service. So this is a perfect example. When we see someone else doing devotional service so nicely, and we feel the pleasure, not envy, we feel the pleasure in doing it, that is devotional service. So, Deva Pashyanti Achirena Taraka. So she says, Taeva Pashyanti, very quickly they see the Lord face to face. Achirena means very quickly, without delay. And Bhavat Padam Bhuja. Today I'm forgetting last line, sorry. Prabhu, you had a question.
I just want to add something. When we speak of desires in devotional service or motive in devotional service, generally when we come to Krishna consciousness, some of us, four types of people come, some of us come just inquisitive, some of us like that. And then, when we learn, and then our desires change. So in the beginning, Prabhupada said, back to Godhead. That's the desire. Get rid of the material miseries, the bhavalunthana, stuff like that. But then as we progress, then, we want to please our Guru, we want to get initiated. That's the desire. We please the Guru. And what is giving pleasure to Guru? When we serve Prabhupada's mission, that gives pleasure to Guru. That's the motive there. Okay, I want to please my Guru. After that, then, now you have become expert at that. So as Prabhupada says, you don't have to think again. Like when you're cooking, you don't have to think, start karna hai, as a snake, you just start doing. Then a stage comes when, Guru is already pleased. Of course, we want to please him more and more and more. But then you say, okay, now what can I do to take some initiative in leadership and, as Prabhu says, engage others in devotional service. That's also happened now for a while. Then we go deeper into our relationship with Krishna. So the motive is okay. As Kadam Karmasmana says in the booklet, diving deep. 3 stages. Then the 3rd stage is okay. So many things are happening. Am I really the doer, or am I giving the credit to Gauranga Mahaprabhu for him doing everything? That's that. Then a stage will come when we just want to serve, and our lives just goes like that without any motive. I don't want to go back to Godhead, this, that, and all that. Right. This is the constitutional position in his service is there, right? And then again you say, okay, Krishna, whatever you desire, I will do it. You tell me. That's the progression happening. We all have. I asked Narayani Mataji many years ago. I said, Mataji, when we progress in devotional service, everybody says that your service must increase. But then with age, the limitations will come. So she said that devotional service will increase, but the nature of devotional service will change. So once someone is 50, they can still do a little physical service. When they're 60, a little bit less. 65, then more internal, more guidance. guiding, more strategy, like that. So this way, ultimately a point will come, okay, externally these things are done, internally, am I really, pleasing Krishna by my actions, or inaction, whatever it is. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does help. Thank
Because
you so much.
the motives will change.
Yeah.
It's not that it will remain fixed.
It's so hard to accept because coming from a sales background, it's like you always have an aim, you always have a target. The motive is always like you're constantly doing things to achieve something.
Yeah.
So to get to a stage or even understand that to do something without motive is very hard to accept. But I understand what
But also then when we, as devotees also our lives are quite full, right? Quite full. And some days then when you get, not much is happening, then the feeling of doing even devotional service in the mode of goodness will help you. Otherwise you can't continue. Even continuing of devotional service, is the analysis required. Okay, I want to do today nothing much, just chant nicely, please the Lord, go internal, read a little bit, even a little bit, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, but everything is done in the mode of goodness. So that also recharges the battery. I've seen even devotees who visit us and stay with us. It's not that they're doing things all the time. They're doing things, but very, very, in a sattvic mode, in a Shuddha sattvic mode. These things, just,
yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Does it help?
Yeah, it does. Thank you so much.
Last week, we concluded the second chapter in our Bhakti Vriksha, and in the last verse paper, Srila Prabhupada there mentions that since both of them are on absolute plane, to be engaged in transcendental loving service of the Lord is to have attained spiritual kingdom. There is no difference between kingdom of God and devotional service of the Lord. There is no difference between kingdom of God and devotional service. So basically, if you are simply serving, the mission of the Lord, then we are with Him, and the happiness will be there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jai Guru. Any questions? Okay. Granth Srīmad Bhāgavatam ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Viraj Krsna ki
Jai.
So we look forward to your association. This evening we have a program, 4:30 Kirtan, and then Bhagavad Gita class, Aarti Prashadam. Of course, I think many devotees are coming because the drama practice will be there, and children's preparation for Janmashtami are also there. So it'd be nice to see everyone again. Sorry, Ram. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. What is it?